So, as people continue to come in, welcome everyone to our March 3rd. I was looking at the date 3321. What a fun date, all divisible by threes. If you don't take the 2021 and you do the 21, I didn't calculate it the other way, but 3321. Cool. How cool is that? So welcome to our community coherence call. Good to see you all. And I just want to kind of presence, all of you have been here before, no new peeps coming in, but this is a time for us to come into community and to feel each other more deeply and to create greater coherence between who we be, just connecting with in this heart space, but also if there are things happening in our lives of projects and innovations and ideas, whatever that is, that we literally build this heart coherence and create a beautiful field that elevates and amplifies all of us in our work in the world. So it's an opportunity to come in, to connect, but to get to know each other on a personal level as well. So we like to break into small groups for a reason. But another piece of this call that I'm reminded, Julie Down hasn't come back in yet, and she will be bopping back in. But for those of us, I'm going to say us, and I'm not going to create separation. For those of us that have been practicing heart resonance and coming together for 8 years, there's a language to that. And many of us have studied physics, resonance, coherence, conscious evolution, consciousness, levels of consciousness. A lot of us have studied a lot of different things, and we come from different angles and different doors entering into our time together. And Julie and several people who haven't come together for years and years have said, help us understand the language. Like, how can we create a common language, a common experience, so we all don't feel like, and I'll tell you, I get on the fire and I can't even say, I can't even say the words in my head right now. The Native American language, when you're blessing each other and you're bringing offerings to the fire, and there's lots going on in the fire, and that language can be foreign to some. So it's how do we be a community that cares for all life, and how can we support each other in our radical diversity? So this is also an opportunity to bring in some of those concepts and really muse deeper into them. So I just wanted to bring that in as an introduction, and we're going to go on a fun topic today, a little fun journey. I know most of you are going to love it because it's your language. But first, we're going to invite Linda Linker Rosenthal, Dr. Linda, to bring us into resonance with a beautiful heart attunement. Linda.
Thank you, Julie. Good morning, my family. Good morning. So this is time for an attunement. That's what I'm calling it. It's an attunement and a communion at the same time. So let's commune and close our eyes and just be together. Be together in a moment of stillness and breath. And feeling this as a language. Feeling your breath. And tuning into your physical body, every part of it. No judgment, but seeing it as it is in this physicality. Feeling your body. Let's take another breath and acknowledge the emotions that we are wired to have. All of the emotions, whatever they are part of us. Whatever your emotions are, just be with it right now with your breath. Noticing the very essence of that liquid, watery field of emotions that we have. That whole range from joy to grief, from confidence to uncertainty. And then breathe into your heart. And allow this energy that you're feeling around you, your physical body, your emotional body, to begin opening that heart center. Let's move into that mental body, although we're not separate. But we do have thoughts that are creating those emotions that are creating our physicality. And in the place of thoughts, let's still our thoughts, quiet them. And in another breath, we commune with that larger love, that universal love that's coming into us as we sit quietly and open to receive. Feeling love as this energy, this vibration that is resonating inside of each one of us and collectively as a whole. This love coming to heal, to bring us together, to remind us that this is the womb where we all were born from. Love softens, calms, cools, energizes, warms, and lets us flow with every breath, feeling the nourishment that love is bringing. This is the language of resonance. It's the feeling. It's the energy. It's the knowing that we are love. As we fill with that love, we let it spill over and experience love for each other. Love for this planet. Love for the great mystery that we are all floating in. Take another deep breath and just settle in. And let that loving smile move from your heart up your body, down your body, and right to the corners of your lips. That's how you're feeling that love and joy coming in. Just for a moment, notice how unclunky we are. Smooth and rolling and flowing. Just place of connection and love. Let's breathe into that and come back together to this space of acknowledgement.
Yummy. Yummy. It was a perfect attunement for our deepening today. I just want to acknowledge that when you invited us to go to the corners of our mouth, like you didn't even say smile. And we know a big smile literally changes the biochemistry. Literally, you smile, whether you're happy or not, if you lift these muscles and smile, it shifts the biochemistry. But what I noticed is when you asked us to come to the corners of our mouth, just the awareness of it and just a gentle little energy there, I felt the flood of the chemical shift. I felt it just with a gentle awareness, gentle motion. Try that sometime. It's really, really powerful. And I hate this as a psychologist. I remember interviewing another psychologist about a family and an evaluation, and the client was advised to fake it till you make it. And I hated that phrase. I'm like, no. But with that gentle smile, with that, look at David's smile, like, look at the smiles. Everybody smiles. Literally, there's this huge physiological shift. And it is good therapy to smile until you're happy, if you want to say it that way. Smile and feel the joy. Smile and feel that. Thank you, Linda, for that. That was beautiful. One of the terms that we hear in the connection field all the time is this resonance and the field. We talk about those two pieces, and you hear the unified field of love, the resonant field. We hear a lot of those terms, and no matter how you experience this term, it's an important piece. So I just want to drop in some of these other terms because there's this unseen force in the universe. And whether you see that as God, creator, source, great spirit, whether you see it as this unified field of consciousness that science is labeling, whether you see it as universal intelligence or designing intelligence, the designing intelligence of the universe, a lot of times you'll hear me say the impulse of evolution, the impulse of creation. Think about these terms, and no matter how you experience those terms, we all can relate to this unseen force in the universe. And one word that many, many, many use in the connection field, in the resonance lounge, for that field, for that force. I could probably have you all unmute and say one word and you'd all say it at the same time, is love. Many times people will talk about love. God is love. This resonant field is love. This frequency of love, the heart contributing to our wholeness, is really about love. So lately, here's our topic for the day, because for the last several weeks and several months, I've been consciously reorganizing and recalibrating my life, like literally taking everything out, evaluating, and looking deeper. In the last couple of weeks, I heard, allow love to recalibrate and reorganize everything. Allow love to reorganize and recalibrate everything. And I keep forgetting it. Like I heard that, and then I go about getting in my head and trying to figure things out and making things work and and going to my to-dos and like literally coming out of that space and then going, oh yeah, allow love to recalibrate, allow love to reorganize, allow that impulse of creation itself to reorganize everything. And when I come back into that space, there's an ease and a flow and a yumminess. There's no clunkiness. There's this really yummy experience of lifing. And Monday, it like hit me like a 2x4 across my head, because I went back into that tunnel and I'm like, oh, now I've got this I've got to deal with. And oh, how are we going to get from here to there? And ooh, and I got into this thing and I witnessed myself, which is really peculiar. The last 8 years, I have been so different than the first 40 some of my life. It's fascinating how I have been in this disconnect, reconnect feeling and experience, which is so different. So Monday, it like hit me like a 2x4. And hopefully it's permanent. Hopefully it moves into this embodied, embedded directive this time with certain elements of my life. It's like where I went to, oh gosh, now we have to. And it was like, oh, I don't have to do any of it. Let love reorganize and recalibrate everything. And I just want to pull the thread just a little bit further before our breakouts, because the everything is important. And my experience of the everything is that this is conscious evolution right here, right now. That literally our species, to move from the consciousness of separation to fully live in the consciousness of who we really are, who we be as a species, and what we're becoming, being and becoming in our wholeness, is a very different experience of life. It invites us to reimagine everything, to rethink everything, to relearn everything, to unlearn everything, to unlearn everything. We're seeing that played out on a world stage where we look at history and we're looking at relationships and we're looking at events, and everybody's saying, whoa. And it's time to unlearn and relearn, unlearn everything we learned with a worldview of separation, and relearn and allow love to recalibrate, to reintegrate, to reorganize, allow love to bring us back into wholeness and a remembering of who we be as never separate, as never separate from one another, from this unified field, this God, creator, source we talk about, from our beautiful planet. We are all one. And it's more than just a nice word that when we talk about oneness, and we all know that. We all know it here, whether we know it here or not. And we get in trouble when we come back up here. Like I did Monday, I'm back up here going, oh, now I got to go from A to B, and how am I going to, and it's like, oh, allow love to reorganize and recalibrate everything. So in our small groups today, we're just going to muse into that. How does that feel? What is your experience of allowing love to recalibrate and reorganize everything? What in your life needs some of that attention? What in your life is emerging and shifting and loving itself into being more? What is so loving that you have to let go of it? Ironically, I had Jeff Vanderkloot on my show again this week, which airs today. And he is like a living expression of love. And he will be so conscious of every word that comes out of his mouth, that it be loving. So any word that sounds oppositional, he'll correct it gently. We talked about love, money, and the super organism of life. And he talked about that the love of money was seen as bad, and he's shifting the love of money into this embrace of everything, because we are it. That money is alive and money is conscious, and money is just us learning how to be a superorganism, learning how to be one planetary body. And money is a beautiful form that's kind of got off track. And so he'll just gently say, if it's not working, it's okay. Let it go. And it's okay. Love it and let it go if it's not working, and come back to this place. So that's our musing for the day. How are we allowing love to reorganize and recalibrate our lives, our relationships, our work, the world around us, our homes, our families, our communities? And with that, I'm going to put us into 1, 2, 3 groups. And we'll see you on the other side. I might move 1 or 2 of you around. Just be patient with me. Here we go.
Where am I?
Linda, where are you? Linda, go to the hole. I don't even see you in here, Linda. You're just not even in here. Let's see. You wanted to go to the hole.
I wrote Linda go to the hole, but
yeah, you're not even showing up. Do you want to come out, go out and come back in? And then I'll put you in a room.
Or should I just join?
Oh, you can. Oh, you're a host. Go join one. That's why. Which one are you going to join?
I'll
join 2.
I'd love to be. Oh, I was going to go into 2 because I have been. Yeah, I would like to.
No, go to 3. We need you in 3. Please go to 3.
We need you in 3. I'm always with Naeed.
We need you in 3.
3.
Got it? Got it?
Wait, it's not allowing me. Oh, it's not allowing me.
Yeah, they join. Click on room 3 and go to the right, and it'll say join.
Oh, join. Okay.
You got it?
All right.
Okay.
Well, I'll talk to you about this later. And I'm loving what is.
Oh, I'm going to have to keep my picture up. It looks like that I have low bandwidth because I keep.
Well, get off the broom and land. That's all you need to do. Get off the broom and land.
Well, here's the interesting thing. On the broomstick tour, you know, it's wonderful the things that are happening. And humanity rising in the beloved community. I can't say enough good things about all of it, but you know what? This is home. I got to tell you, after all the flying around, the realest place that I can find, filled with, wisdom and authenticity. And I kind of love Julie's expression today of allowing love to recalibrate us instead of trying to figure it on out. I guess, I kind of get hung up on this innovation thing. I mean, I'm creative and I fix this. I'm in Ojai, California now. And out here, the pond was just not looking good. So I got that thing looking spiffy. And so I like to create in those ways, but I don't feel this innovative need to, you know, I don't know. I can't even express that. I don't, like, I have an iPhone 7 and it's getting like I've used up the battery, and people are, you should get a new one. Oh my God, that's the last thing in the world I want. I want to use no more of these trace minerals that children are dying and we're, so as far as this living it, for me, living the love, I've gone totally plant-based. I now feel, I've watched Dr. Silas Rao and his 10-year-old grandmother accept the Homo Ahisma Award, which means nonviolence to any living thing. And this little girl, Kamaya, is the one who has inspired the engineer grandfather, Dr. Silas Rao, to take on this. She just could not stand the animal violence. So I'm feeling more love in my life. I'm feeling love recalibrate my life. And I'm sorry, I've just got frozen screen. So I'm going to stay off picture. And I thank you for listening, and I'll pass that feather on.
Oops.
I want to ask Julie who she was speaking of, the person. I know you say you had done an interview with, and I didn't get the name.
Jeff Vanderkloot. Jeff Vanderkloot. Do you want me to send you the link when it's available later?
Yes, please.
Okay.
And one of the things I experienced when you talk about love, and I asked the question in the chat, that sometimes when we're having this conversation of love, it seems to me to still separate because the definition we give it. And when I think about love, love doesn't have a definition on it in the sense that it does not separate when we living out the heart. And when you was talking this morning, what came to me, it always comes to me when we're talking about love and this, finding this commonality and this conversation, the language that exists for all of us. And what comes to mind is the time when the story of Jesus appearing in Galilee, and all the people are speaking in one language. And when first time I heard that, I was very young, and I always contemplate, what does that mean? And as I've grown over the years, and especially now coming into what we call the heart residence, is that when we in that heart space, that we really do speak in one tongue, in one language, because it's energetic, it's a resonant, it's moving, it's not stopped. And when I was experiencing the meditation this morning, it's almost like it goes down into that space and it pulls itself back out. Like the hate, it goes in and everything comes back in this wholeness. If I'm feeling pain, once I understand the other side of that, it moves into that. It's almost like when we talk about the tortoise in the Egyptian practice, ancient Egypt, that movement of the tortoise and how it goes in and it comes back up. And now she's balanced because she's saying, okay, you feel the grief, you feel this suffering, but this is the other side of it. This is how it moves inside of me. And if I still myself long enough to feel you, I can feel my wholeness. But I feel like in our place of, we have gone through this last part of our evolution as human beings, and we have thought from the head. And now we're being pulled back into this pool of heart, this heartfelt place. And it allows me to look at myself, to be more conscious and cognitive. Even if I say a hurtful word to someone, I still have to come back here. Even if it's a judgment, I still need to take it back here and allow it to find its way back home. That's what comes to me. And I was just feeling that this morning, that movement of it and how it goes in and out. And if we don't sit, we cannot listen. If we don't feel into that and pause. Now I can speak from my heart as opposed to my reaction. That's what came to me this morning, like really honing into that feel of yielding into it. And the more I do that, I soften. My whole being starts to soften. I'm no longer in resistance because I lived most of my life in that reactive mode. So now I'm coming to balance and I'm like, oh, that's how you feel. Like, oh, yes. And I think we have a whole lot of heart conditions that come out of that. I really feel that our heart is sick because we don't know how to yield in. So anyway, thank you for listening. So I'll pass the brother.
Well, I'll pick that up for a moment. So with begging your forgiveness, I'd like to play quantum physicist for a minute, and let me just emphasize the word play. Okay. So I've been intrigued lately about love. Well, I've always been intrigued about love, but where does love come from in the universe? So in my most recent, doesn't matter where it came from. Only 4% of the entire universe, that's every planet, every star, every being, every person, comprises 4% of the universe. There's a small percentage, what's called dark matter, that is also material matter, but it's only like 2 to 3%. The rest of the universe, over 90%, is dark energy. Now, it used to be thought that the darkness was just the void, but it's jam-packed full of the energy of love. Our mind and our senses to date as human beings can only see and incorporate 4% of the entire universe. Our heart has the capacity to feel the other 95% directly. The mind cannot get it. The mind differentiates the 4%. The heart is in direct communication with the over 90% of the darkness, because the heart knows that it's filled with love. So when we recalibrate, we don't have to think about it, but we do have to have the courage to go into the darkness. And that scares the hell out of people. And when you get really scared, the mind tries to figure out how to stop that fear. The heart has no need to do that. So when we say, oh, my heart is scared to death, no, it's not my heart that's scared to death. It's my physicality that is not allowing in the love. And so, so the darkness is where the love resides. Our heart has this incredible capacity to bring it into the light. Nothing else, not our intellect, not all of that, not our going out and getting money or someone else or whatever to fulfill. That's still part of the only 4%. We are denying 95% of the love in the universe when we do that. Do we have the courage to face the darkness and realize that's where the love is? I'll stop with that.
I'll build on it.
Go ahead, Julie. I was like, he just tuned into my children's yesterday storytelling. And my heart just went leap when John started talking. I had these young children yesterday. They came in to visit me. It was about 6 of them, young boys. They was playing over in the hockey field. And one of the children is a child that I had from the time he was 3 months of age. And I nurtured him. His mother lost his mother in childbirth. So they came to visit me and they sat I said, why are you here? They said, oh, we want you to tell us a story about your ancestors. I'm like, really? So then they start telling me a story about the old house where this used to be an old house on the premise here, and that the landowners had. It's still there, but it's broken. And they start talking about the darkness in it. And we went into the darkness and we started to see what was in the darkness. And they was using their imagination. And one said, oh, I could swear I saw a little light. And I said, probably was, because when we little, we got our imagination right. And I went right in with them to into that imagination. And when John was talking about that, was that exactly going into that dark space. And I dropped into it recently in a quantum leap meditation and stayed in it. And I said, wow, it's like we talk about dark matter as if it's a bad thing, but this is the way the goody is, right here in this dark matter, in this dark hole, and coming out of it. And when I came out of it, I was asleep, felt like I was asleep, and my eyes open. I'm like, where did I go? So thank you for bringing that, because that, I was like, right there, that's it, in that dark matter. Anyway, Julie, thank you for letting me speak.
Sure. Yeah, go to Daily Dose of Soul Care on Facebook. And I posted that today. John posted a response about darkness, but I made a post about dark and light, and I would love for you to contribute that in the comments. That's beautiful. So I'll build on this idea that John's talking about of the universe, 95%, by just something that Jeff Vanderkloot brought into the show today, when we recorded it yesterday, by saying, this was really, I think, a helpful map for people in consciousness. When he said, when we think of the universe out there, we naturally go into separation. The universe, wow, we're just a part of it. We're separate from it. It's the universe out there. But when we connect with the universe that's in here, because the entire universe exists within us. And when we embrace that knowingness that the universe is within, we're a part of everything. We love everything. You cannot not love everything because it's a part of you. Even your fellow man that you might be kind of irked at right now or something like that. It's like everything in the universe, when you see the universe as within, it brings us into wholeness, into unity, into love. And so I loved that. He brought that in, and it's like so true. When we think of the universe out there, we are so disconnected. That 95% is so big. I don't get it. I'm right here on this planet in this little tiny body that's da-da-da. But when you really shift that awareness, it's easy. So thank you, Ia and John and Kate, for bringing those pieces forward. But yeah, it's like coming back into that universe that's within. It's easy to allow love to reorganize and recalibrate everything. Love as that designing intelligence of the universe. Love as that great wisdom that science is now demonstrating and spiritual traditions have for eons. And I love my friend Jude Curvan, who's one of the leading voices in this right now, is calling it the science of love. And she's not afraid to call it the science of love. She's one of the first. And so, yeah, just drop that in. Thanks.
You know, that what that reminds me of is, you know, probably you all too, but when I was growing up, it was this whole thing of, well, you only use 10% of your mind, and you have all that where it says. But the truth is, if we do this dark energy, light energy quotient, we only use 10% of our heart. And if we get it, that the universe inside of us is waiting to bring forth the other 95% of the love that we are capable of, instead of, like you're saying, Julie, separate, Well, what I see, I react to that shuts me down out of fear, or what I see, here's what I think I'm capable of. Those are all mental constructs. But when we open that channel through the heart space, the universe inside of us pours forward with love, and all of a sudden our heart is capable of so much more that then recalibrates the world that we see and we experience. You know, it's beautiful.
Well, I just want to add that I think part of this recalibration, as you were speaking earlier, some of us, you know, many of the core group, you've been into connection for 8 years now. And it is a new language. It's a transcendent language that you have, you know, come to establish. And therefore it takes us to this transcendent place and we're in the space. And the more you're bracketed into the darkness of it all, the more we, wow, and I've always, even when I was watching Star Trek as a little girl, I kind of knew that the final frontier was somehow using our earth suits, using the tools within us. You know, hence I think why I went into nursing. I was always so fascinated by, you know, the potentialities of human possibility, which, you know, we experience, we feel it. So there's no, that's a scientific proof there. Anyway, thank you.
I wanted to ask Julie, since you're out there in the world and floating around in that space, what I perceive is that it's like each time we evolve in these different spaces, comes a new language of expression, and that that it's been there, this idea of love has been there, pulsating its way through, but it's now that we, according to prophecies, we can bring them together in a language that we all can agree and hear from. That's what I feel like, is that language, that being able to give it a definition, a place in the world. We are just not mature enough as beings on the planet to do that. That's what it feels like to me, to name it. And once we can create the language, then we embody that. And when I go back and look at history, I feel that each time we have evolved into these different dimensions of language, these words that we expression across time, and we get caught when we separate according to our particular places. We separate on the lines of race and all of those things. I think those are the entrapments. But when we open up to this larger piece inside of ourselves, we can see the whole from that heart space, not from this mind that tricks us every time. So that's what I'm seeing. So I'm asking Judy, I'm making a statement and also asking a question. Do you perceive that when we change and give it that language, the words that we need right now, we better capable of expressing and embodying this?
I love that.
So
Yeah, and I think that I agree. Yes, I do believe. And I think we have to begin to, it's the language of wholeness and the language of love. It's like you can't separate that. But we have to be careful because so many different, like you say, the cultural differences, the religious differences, and when we get up here and we start analyzing it, if we could simplify it, it's almost like when John was talking about the darkness and he said, let me talk quantum physics for a second. And then most people on the planet would go, whoa,
right.
I can't comprehend. But then John just comes into his heart and speaks the language of love, undefined love. That's John's term, undefined love. That one's going to go down in history, right? We're all, like many of us are using undefined love, just like we're bracketing that term into cyberspace and into the cosmos. But I agree, Ia, and I just, it's almost like we have to bring fresh eyes, and that, you know, in a mindfulness practice, we would say a childlike understanding. We have to come into it from a place that's not intimidating, and and it's not forceful, but just start speaking from the heart in a real simplified way that people can experience it as we're saying it, feel it, feel the words because they're coming from resonance, create the connectivity and the remembrance and the wholeness. And then people go, oh yeah, it's what Kate said to start us all off.
Right.
It's out there,
Yes.
there's all these different things happening on the world. And this is
Right.
exactly what you're speaking to, Ia, that is essential that I'm trying to bring to those organizations, is there's so much happening. And everyone's like, unity, unity, peace on earth by 2030. We can do it. Let's come together. And that means this and this and this. And we're looking at every sector of life because it is the impulse of love recalibrating everything. But they're not using that language. And then they're not.
Yes.
They're not coming into that experience. It's not coming from wholeness and the codes of wholeness, those dormant codes that are inside all of us. It doesn't come from there. It comes from, we have to get from here to there. So how are we going to get there? Let's have a peace march. Let's bring more flags out. Let's do let's have it. And we're constantly moving from the action instead of to the
In the
universe
heart.
in and meeting at the universe within. That might just be our heart, right? Might just be our heart is the universe within. I love this.
It's definitely an awakening, because I sat in last week in a conference, 3 days in the Nature Connection Conference, where they had approximately 300 people. I may be exaggerating, but moving through that lens. And what I heard is everything was from here. And so in the last, they was summarizing on one of the platforms on Saturday morning, and they wanted to know how to teach their children decolonization. And I'm like, you are just lost in your head, because how can you teach decolonization if you hadn't decolonized yourself? You don't need to bother about teaching the children decolonization. You need to look at how you decolonize your own thinking, your own self first. And then the well of tears. I mean, you should have seen just that statement. It opened up, and I was like scared, because it opened this well of tears in this virtual community. I'm like, okay, here's a pan of water I'm putting in the center. So go ahead and have your tears. Like, permission to grieve first. That, like you said, it's like unlearning. Somebody said in the talk this morning, unlearn all of that we've been conditioned to see from. Oh my God, if we can do that. So it really helps me to be humble, because sometimes I show up in these places believing that all of these people's here are really have arrived and really enlightened beings. And I'm like, it humbles me to say, in that space of gratitude and appreciation for this platform, because we can have a common conversation. So I said all of that to say I'm grateful for each one of you here.
I'd like to pop in real quickly before we leave. Real quickly. I feel like we've gotten hung up on this language thing and devising a new bunch of words to try to describe it. In that love is an undefined energetic energy. I don't know if any words are really going to capture that. And I really feel like in our evolutionary process, we may be moving past into an energetic communication where no words are said. How do we do that?
And we're doing it right here, right? When we come
Right here.
and we're creating this resonance, there are no words that are needed. We're experiencing and embodying, and we literally then come from that place and engage with life.
It's a direct experience. Yes.
Experience. I love that.
Woo.
See you all.
Going back to the ancient way.
Yes.
Yeah, nature's way.
Nature's
Yes.
way. Nature's way.
How about that?
See you all in the
And
big room.
who's the best natured way? Kate Roberts. There's nature's way right before
Well,
it.
you know, and it just how Phil
Oh no, Katie.
4-year process.
Hello. I think we're going to lose a couple, and I hope Kate comes back in. We lost a couple from my group here. Ia's not returned and Kate's not returned. I really wanted to hear what Kate had to say here. So welcome back. We're just going to open this up for greater dialogue. And there's Kate. If you still have this on your mind, Kate, I'd love to hear you finish your thought if you still have that on your mind, and then yeah.
All I was really thinking about, I don't know if you got to February, I just feel like one of the first things that happened on the Connection Phil was Chief Phil brought those sacred tree teachings and how they just speak to everyone. I have this low bandwidth. I can't see nothing but blackness. Anyway, on February 6th, Chief Phil and Sacred Earth started this rebirthing. They're calling it just a 4-year ceremony. It feels like everything. It's a 4-year process of looking at us with the mineral kingdom, and it was an opportunity to rebirth and re-imprint. And so it was so beautiful. They brought you through this birthing process, all the elements saying to you and the world. It felt like a powerful re-imprinting. And I guess our conversation is transcendent place of love, this new language that speaks through nature. We've all had and I guess I was just going to add that it gets to me and Aya, the anagram for I am one, real quick. It's something different to all of us, I'm sure. It's potent. Thank you.
Thanks.
That was.
Hey, Nahid.
I need to leave, my love, so I just want to say thank you. I was very aware of the yearning, and I was communicating that to Rose and Linda, of the yearning of my heart to connect personally with each one of you, especially you, Julie. That has been working me out for a while. It's like you've been living with me. I don't know how to say this. And what does it mean? I even have no clue. So, but that is what is present. Thank you.
Thank you, Nahid. Feel free to unmute and jump in, anyone.
Well, I'll speak. What I brought into the group, I'll speak for myself and let others speak for themselves. But Julie, you spoke, it was about the recalibration of love, recalibrating everything. And for me, it's about, as you all know, we've written a book, The Trust Frequency. So it's about trusting the love of the universe that shifts us into another frequency where everything is recalibrated. It's a completely different ball game. So for me, it's about understanding. Well, I use the word unconditional love, which I know Julie has other words for, but it's the fact that free will, that we came in for a journey, we came in with a gift, we came in with a purpose, we are love, we are loved, And the universe is taking us, because we gave permission, it's taking us on this journey to that understanding of how loved and beautiful and amazing we are. And the universe is to get us into that frequency where everything is different. Thank you.
I'd like to speak just for a moment. And that is, the universe is inside of us. Over 90% of the universe is dark energy, but in the dark energy is love. So I want to just try something, because we're talking about a new language. I have no words for it. What if we go inside right now to that heart space where over 90% of us is the love and the dark energy of the universe? Let's keep our eyes open and look at each other. Look at everybody on this page for just 30 seconds. And this might be the new language. Thank you.
We've just been recalibrated. Thank you, John.
I honestly feel that we're searching to find words. We talk about language. How do you define it? What is it? And it's like, there are no words. Get out of your head. So for love to recalibrate is for us realizing how divine we are and letting our natural state, all of that nourishment that comes from that larger space is us, but it comes through and it's filtered into these meat suits so that we can experience it. And when we do, it fills us completely when we allow it. And then it runs over, like my cup runneth over, it spills over. So there's so much love that to me is what my cup runneth over means. It's like, here, take. It's just flowing all the time. It's love, it's a vibration, it's a feeling. And now here I am trying to put words to it. But then it spills over to anyone that I'm around. It's like, it's not my love. It's the love of the universe. Here, take it. Take it. It's there. It's there. So much of it. It's filling every space. So it's funny to try to put it into words. Yeah. So I think it is more of, I think. Here, I'm back into thinking. That's so funny. It's a feeling, it's a vibration. We talk about resonance. It is that resonance inside that I know is love. And so I'm going to stop talking because there are no words for it.
Then, good morning again. Yeah, to hear St. Croix Virgin Alice. As you was talking, I was thinking of, it's kind of frivolous. I lost all of my teeth this year, right? So one of the things I thought I was doing, I had them make the teeth, so they put them right back in, right? And so I had to sleep with these teeth on these sew guns that just extracted, and it was like excruciating pain for 24 hours. So I go back to the dentist, they take them out, and I go, Jesus Christmas, how did I do this? So the point of the story was, when I did look in the mirror, I was like, let me see who's in the mirror. So I could define, I looked at all the ways that this face had got defined through a history. The hag, the old witch, da 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 da. And so then what I did, I leaned in and I took her inside and I said, oh, you're so beautiful. Let's see what that feels like. And I just kept playing with her. And as I was playing with her, what I noticed that my face gave it and it smoothed itself out. It take on another contour. I'm like, wow. Then I went further and I looked at how this thing we call love seeps into the pores of the body, and it could really heal whatever's going on inside of me. Really? And I just kept pulling it in and playing with it. And so I've been playing with this energy of self-love and diving into her and feeling that energy of what we call love. And that's why when John says undefined, because it feels to me when we put a definition on something, we lose it. But if we can just feel into it and embrace it, it just becomes so much more. It becomes without words. It's just you merging into it. And eventually you feel your body. I feel my body going around now, taking in more of that out. Just even when the air comes in, I'm hugging it and loving it. It's like, oh, that's what that feels like. So it is that undefinable. I love that. John, if you gave that, kudos to you. Undefinable, like, because our head just tricks us up so much. And so it is like these babies crawling around, learning all over again. And that to me is exciting. You know, exciting to go into the world and be able to carry this as light workers and teachers and guides right now on the planet. That's what we need, is those of us who are able to hold that energy and carry it forth. That's what it feels like to me, like showing up. So thank you for listening. Pastor Pep again.
I just want to say briefly that for me, I've always had this knowing that all of creation is awaiting the opening of the human heart. And there's, because it's going to change everything. The releasing of the love. And I wrote in 1995 that there's a volcano about to erupt in the world today, and the spewing forth of the love in the human heart is going to change everything. And that this whole process we've been in is for that. So it's all good. It's been leading to this place where we access and move and do exactly what John just took us through, of that just invisible vibration of love that opens the heart. And there we are. And it's in the indigenous prophecies or stories that spirit was looking for the place to hide this love, and he chose the human heart, the place that would be the hardest to get to. And Uncle Angnak talks about the ice around the human heart, melting the ice around the human heart. So it's just an exciting process to be in with you all. Thank you.
And perhaps we're melting the ice around the global heart, of which humans are the touch point to igniting that global heart. Where'd she go? Where's Grace? That global heart, and really knowing that we are that union of heart. And I also, I know Connie studies with the Resonance Academy as well, and dark energy is one of those scientific terms that astrophysicists use for that which they can't see, not sure it's there, never found it, but they need it there so their equations work. So it's not a real thing. What is real, though, and this is according to Dr. Jude Currivan, a friend of Good of the Whole and cosmologist, who says we are 99.99999% space. We're all the same space. We share that. And if we feel, rather than calling it dark energy, love is that space that we are and we share and we feel together as we share this moment in time. That wherever we are in our physical locations in space time, we are sharing the same moment. That's never happened before in this world, that we could be in different locations and still share the same moment face to face, or the equivalent thereof. So I would invite us all to really hold that, rather than being 90%, we're 99.9999999% love. I'm very happy to share it all with you. Thank you.
Well, I'd like to come in with that. What a lovely discussion this morning. Ia was just talking with her adventure that she had with her physical body. And then she moved to self-love. And, you know, self-love, what do we mean by that? You know, where is our self? How do we know thyself that way? And is that love enough? We seek love in so many different places. There is so much that has been promised to us that would solve the problems from the outside. But where do we find that self-love? And how important is that self-love? You know, sometimes I hear something. A couple of weeks ago, Kate said something that really struck me. We were talking about the importance of self-love, in that really ultimately, who are we going to find in this world that's going to love us enough in exactly the way we want to be loved? Therefore, what's left is to love ourselves. And you know, I say this and I feel like I've been loved. I feel like I had a family that loved me. I feel that I seek friends that love me. But that ultimate love really can only be reached from inside of us. You know, sometimes, you know, I think we see how small we are, and we don't have the capacity to really fill ourselves up with enough love. But when we come together here in this thing we call this resonant field, we're talking about definitions here. There is no definition. And when we come together and we can show our vulnerability, we can stabilize. But are we curious enough, and do we have the trust enough to stand naked in that field and destabilize? Do we feel that we know ourselves well enough and that we have enough trust that we are whole, that we can come back and ultimately be stable? And I think there's a major word here, and that's curiosity. Because when I first came to the connection field, I was curious. What's going on here? John said to me, come on in here. I think you might find something. He didn't explain what. He didn't define it to me. He didn't tell me what's going on. But it perked my curiosity that there was something here that could further my wholeness. And then it was, show me. But in order to do that, I had to participate. I had to stand. I had to show myself and show that vulnerability and show, can I be authentic here? And then could I feel that love come back? And that's what just happened when John said, let's look into each other's eyes. Let's feel each other with no definitions. And then my curiosity and my thirst is quenched. That's that undefined definition that we talk about. And with that, I gain trust to come back again, try it again, unmute that button, and say, here I am. And you accept me, and I feel accepted. And once in a while, I see a face here that I've never seen before, and I see that face again. And I see it again. And that curiosity really has moved to the next level. And that's how we spread this love. That's the one equation that has not been tried in this world. Every other equation has. But that's the one that remains. And the obvious is the last thing we think, say, or do, and it is inside of us. And that's what we share. And we need practice at it as human beings. And so we continue to do that with each other. I'm complete. And with that, I have gratitude.
We have just a minute. I just want to presence one thing and invite Rose to hop in here before we transition if you want to speak. But the piece that just really warmed me when you were speaking, David, is there's no rules or guidelines in this hour. Like, we don't have rules and guidelines. There's no right or wrong way of doing this. And we're all feeling this love today. We're all feeling the resonance today. And this is a thing that is really important for us, because so many people have come into resistance about the rules and doing it right and doing it wrong and, not having enough resonance. And it's like, no, we just came into this hour with no rules or guidelines, but have conversation, that heart to heart, open the conversation, move into the vulnerability, David, click the unmute button and express, and then we're in it. It's beautiful. Thank you for that gift today. That was a powerful lesson for me, that we don't have to create the rules and the structure and the right or wrongness of this. It just is. So, but I do want to give Rose space if you choose to unmute your button, and if not, that's fine too.
Yeah, I'll come in real quick. In our group, we did talk about how the divine is non-judgmental and there's no right or wrong. It's just a seed becomes a maple tree, and that's just the way it is. And there was a seed inside of me that became Rose, and that's just who I am. There's nothing wrong about me or right about me. It's just who I am. And I was looking out my window and I have woods and forest in my backyard. It's so beautiful. And I was feeling like I was one of those trees, just feeling one with the forest, as I was listening to the other people in my group speak, because they exuded so much love as they spoke. And I was with Nahid and Linda. And So as you know, they exude love and as they speak, and I was blessed to be in their group. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Rose. Yeah, I just had this thought. Yeah, the maple tree from the seed, the oak tree from the acorn, and then the idea that the forest grows the tree. Tree doesn't grow the tree. Literally, the forest grows the tree. And that's just ties into so many of our conversations as we're looking at that universe within and being that impulse of creation itself, really tuning in and listening to that with the trust frequency. Like that's the recalibration, that's the reorganization, that's the growth, is that allowing that to love us enough that we become that love and love ourselves. Dawn, you missed a good one on self-love today. We're so glad you're here. You'll have to watch the recording. It was really beautiful. So with that, we're just going to gently transition over. Thank you all for being here today. So much love to all of you. Like we do, John's just going to gently reset that resonance and we're going to continue on. It's been a beautiful conversation. So if you can stick around, stay with us.
Do you
John.
want me to continue recording? Do you want to continue recording?